So here we are in Blender, and I'm going to just kind of do a very basic modeling precursor here. And a little bit about the interface. So what you can do at the top here is they have these different tabs. Here's the layout tab, which I use mostly. Here's the modeling tab, which we can use now because it kind of clears up your interface a little bit so that you just have the center part, which I'm middle mouse clicking and rotating around. In the top corner, there's the scene collection, which shows you all the different things in the scenes. You can create new scene collections, like to make things in a folder. Down here, we have a cube, which has these two modifiers in there. I'm not sure why. So I'm just going to hit tab again, and then just go to object mode and delete this. And if you didn't see the previous video where we actually went through setting up the interface, that was part of it. So notice when I hit tab, it brought up that view, and then I just pressed the delete key on my keyboard. And I actually knew that that cube was highlighted when I left clicked on it because it created this orange barrier around it. So inside of my, in this lesson, I'm going to just bring up some very basic concept art. And it's this little kid image here. I'm going to bring it in from off scene. And this is what we're going to use just the model from. Now, generally, you want this to be in the same folder, so I'm just going to make a new folder on my desktop, and I'm just going to call this kid, and I'm going to drag this in here. And let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. And then, so in this kid folder, we now have this, and then I'm going to do File, Save As, and then I'm going to, just on my desktop here, I'm going to name this file in Blender Kid. And again, it just helps because when I reopen this, it knows exactly where that file is. So I can drag this and drop it in the scene, and there's my reference. And you'll notice it creates an empty game object with an image attached to it. Now with this selected, if I go to, and again, I'm just middle mouse clicking to rotate, I zoom in and out with the wheel on my mouse. If you don't have a mouse with a wheel, you should go buy one. They're pretty cheap. You can see that there's these rotation angles, and there's this location. If I hold the left mouse button down, I could select multiple. So if I hit 0 and press enter, you can see that it centered it. If I highlight all of these, I can hit 0 and I can enter. Notice also that there's this tab on the side with this selected. It's the object tab. And I can do the same thing here, where I can enter a 0 here, and it'll rotate it. And now you can see that the x-axis is going this way, and that my front view is actually my negative y. So let's say I want to add 90 degrees to this. Well, on the x-axis, I can type in a 90 here. Now you can see it flattened it out. Another thing you can do is, with this selected, you can hit the R key to represent rotate, and you can see now I'm rotating it around. And you could just type in 90. Now the thing is, we want to constrain this on an axis, right? So I'm going to hit Control Z to undo this. So I'm going to hit R, and then I'm going to press the X key for the axis that I want. I'm going to type in 90. Now the next thing I want to do is move this up. So I have these tabs on the side here, which if you don't see them, press the T like Tom key, and you can see there's a move. There's also Shift and Space Bar will bring these up, and you can see GRST. So if I select move, I can select this and move it up like that. I can also hold the Alt key with my rotation, my middle mouse rotating. And you can see that it'll snap the rotation to the different view. So I begin by holding the mouse down, and then I hold Alt, and it'll snap to the view. And that's another way of just bringing it above here. Another way of doing this is you can press G to move this around, and if I want to lock it on an axis, I can push the key for the axis. So here's G, and then I hit Z, and Z is going to rotate this. Now I actually hit scale by accident. So let's try that one more time. G is in George, and you can see I'm moving it around. And if I want to lock it so it's only going up and down on the Z axis, I hit Z. Now you can see. Now just go ahead and place it somewhere above that red line. This isn't going to be a super, this is just the fun, it doesn't have to look right video. We're just kind of really quickly going through the process of making a character from scratch, very basic character. So here's this. Now what I can do here is I can click on this little option here, and it brings up these other options. And one of them is the second one, which makes things selectable. What I don't want to do, let's shift this back a little bit, is as I'm modeling, keep selecting this background plane. So by turning this on, by making it blue here, I can uncheck selectable, and now this is no longer selectable, and the plane is just sitting here. Another thing I can do here is, let's make this selectable again, is I'm going to hit Shift and D, and you'll notice up in the top here, it created in the scene collections, I hit Escape to deselect, a second empty here. And what I'd like to do is rotate this on the Z axis 90 degrees. So I'm going to hit R, and then Z, and then 90. And what I'd like to do is just pull this forward a little bit, just to set up my image planes. I'm going to pull this off to the side. And actually, I like to, when I look at things, I like to work off of the side view, this side view. So I'm going to shift it to the left, and I'm going to hold Control and select both of these. It might be Command on the map, and I'm just going to uncheck interactable. So now neither of these are interactable. All right, so how do I model? Well, we need to actually have a cube in here to model from. So actually, let's go ahead and delete these. Well, we'll leave let's delete both of these. And what I did is I deleted the light. So I'll select my light here and press delete, and I select my camera here and I delete that. So we just have our references set up, and actually I think this is a good place to stop. So hit Control S to save this, and what we'll do in the next video is we'll just model the head.